Hello, everyone, and welcome to
The Geek Cause Podcast.
With me today is Kyle.
Whoa, really?
I've really thrown a wrench in the thing.
yeah.
So I got Kyle with me here today, and then I'm Cody. So I've never been on this podcast before, so I'm not sure how it works. But Kyle's been a guest on here a couple of times, I'm pretty sure. So why don't you give us a rundown of what's going on, Kyle?
So, as you know, my name is Kyle. Your first time hearing of me and about me. Cody's now regretting starting this bit.
Didn't we do something similar last week where we just pretended that we didn't know that, you're just someone I dragged off the street?
Was that last week or the week before?
Well, the week before was a live podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Episode 22 of the podcast that we're on now, just because we've been forgetting to say that. You know, as you go on, you start, you stop counting and you're just like, okay, this is another week.
Yeah, it's like, what episode are we on now?
And now it's like, oh, I better start mentioning it again because you might have people that don't know, you know?
Yeah. We should have a sticky note on the wall in front of us that says the number on it.
Yeah, it says today's episode, and then it gives us a list of our topics, and then we actually are reading from a script at all times.
Yeah, this is actually 100% scripted.
So I go through and I write a script, and I just go and I say everything that we're supposed to say. If there's ever a mess up, it's because there's a typo, and we just had to kind of come up with things on our own. You know, it's really hard. It's really difficult to just come up with things for a podcast. I mean, following a script is just you would think that for a podcast, you would just say things just on the cuff of your, on the fly.
Yeah, that'd be that easy, but it's really not.
But it's just so difficult that you have to write out a long, detailed script. Right now, it's telling me I have to scratch my nose, so I'm scratching my nose. Yeah, I had to do it.
For some reason, the script said that we also had to switch positions. So usually I'm on the right, and he's on the left. And this time I'm on the left.
Yeah.
And you're on the right.
I don't know how it'll translate when we're listening back to the podcast, but yeah, I'm on the right-hand side today. How does everyone feel about that?
Do I sound more left?
Does my voice sound more appealing on the right side, or...?
They're probably equal on either side. It's not very appealing either way.
Yeah. Or should we just both go right to the middle and we take turns talking? So I talk like this,
and then I talk like this,
and then I come in and I say my part,
and we just kind of keep doing this.
Oh my god! Look at the
wow!
Look at the podcast. Oh my god! The levels are gonna be terrible. I'm gonna be killing myself later. Anyways, how is everyone doing today? We're so glad to have you here. We've got topics ranging from everyone's favorite Cybertruck to Michael B. Jordan being Superman.
Yeah.
So it's a big range of things going on today. But before that, why don't we just go ahead and ask how our very first question of how it always happens is, Kyle, how are you today, and how are things going in your life?
I'm going to go off script for a second and say, since we swapped sides, you should go first.
Oh, wow, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard.
Yep, that's probably the smartest thing I've ever said.
All right, well then, ask me how. Do how I do. Okay. But wait, actually, let's start talking, and then we'll talk about something random, and then you just, because we're starting to come to a stalemate, you have to be like me, where I'm just like, all right, Kyle's not going to talk about himself, so I'll just have to ask him to force him to talk about it.
Okay,
So yeah, we had some tea before this. That was nice.
Yeah. So Cody.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Maybe tell me about your life so far. From the beginning, if you could.
I was born and raised in a hayfield with a cuddling my pet mouse, Scooby-Doo.
Why do you have a stutter?
Because I was thinking because I grew up with a stutter as well, and me and Scooby-Doo the mouse, we really had a hard time. I didn't have parents. I just had my mouse, Scooby-Doo.
Just your mouse?
I was born from the mouse.
Were you like a potato? You just popped out of the ground one day?
Yeah, but I was like... I was actually born like a potato. I was inside of a potato skin, and I had to be peeled. The mouse, Scooby-Doo peeled me, and then there I was.
Right.
Anyways, let's end this now before... literally everyone stops listening. I've had a week. We'll leave it at that. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, a lot of personal stuff, but overall, it's been a week. I've been studying again to take my final exam.
Ooh.
And then I've been playing. There's been an update to Stardew Valley. 1.4. It's added a lot of like good interest, like a lot of interesting things. Like it's really cool. If you don't know what Stardew Valley is, it's a farm simulator. But me and Becca have been playing it. Like we just started up our co-op and we've been playing.
Can I grow potatoes and nothing but potatoes?
Yes.
Forever. Is there tiers to my potatoes? Can I level up my potatoes?
So let me explain this.
Can I make them immune to the blight?
you can get potatoes in spring for the spring season, but if you get a greenhouse, yes, you can farm potatoes all year.
Good.
And there are different quality levels. So you can have a no quality all the way up to gold quality in potatoes.
So I can have tiers of potatoes.
You can have tiers. You can have levels of potatoes. Yes, it's great. Oh my god! So mine and Becca's farm is called the Irish Farm,
right?
And I'm gonna get a greenhouse, and we're gonna grow nothing but potatoes in the greenhouse.
I've given you that idea.
It's just such a perfect
idea.
You're welcome. Yep. Anyways, me and Becca have been playing Stardew Valley co-op, and we've been enjoying ourselves. But other than that, I watched a bit of Twitch Rivals for the League of Legends, and I haven't had time to focus on it. I don't have a lot to say. There's not a lot going on in my life right now.
Now you know what it's like for those first few episodes where nothing was going on in my life, what it felt like.
Yeah, well, there you go. I don't make me stab you with this blade that I just found that's
Cody
double-sided.
now has a big knife. It's very edgy looking, so it's very suiting for him.
So tell me about yourself, Kyle. How are things going for you?
I've been working and working. And
you got more of that coming up too, don't you?
Working. Yeah. So I've been working all week. Been alright. Pretty busy. And tomorrow, because we're recording this on Thursday.
Oh, yes,
so
we are.
When you're listening to this, I'll be in work trying not to kill myself because it'll be Black Friday.
Yeah, Black Friday. Everyone's favorite holiday that no one wants, but everybody wants at the same time.
Yeah. No, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, how's things been at work? Have you had anything interesting happen yet?
Not really, no. It's actually been quite tame. Yeah.
Wait for Black Friday.
Oh, I know. Like, in the past 2 days alone, I've had 5 people like, are you going to be working Black Friday now? I was like, yeah, I am. It's like, right, when I come in, I'm going to find you specifically.
Oh, I hate when they say that shit.
And it's like, god damn it.
And they don't, even when they don't mean it, it's still annoying. Because
because in the back of your head, it's there.
Because if I see you now, you're going to be like, oh, it's my friend.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than work, though, what's been going on? Nothing? Playing any games? Do anything interesting? Look at any news? Smoking a crack? What?
Yeah, actually. A lot of it.
Yeah, all the crack. Yeah, go on then.
No, I actually played through Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order over the weekend.
Yeah, I've heard such good things about that. I'm surprised we didn't put it on as a topic to talk about. Why don't you give us a little rundown of what your opinion is of that? Did you beat it?
Yep, I beat it.
It's pretty short. Not like super short, but it's pretty short.
Yeah, you'd beat it in a good, 15, 20 hours, I'd say.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. Like, gameplay-wise, it just feels really nice.
Did you play it on normal difficulty?
No, I put it on hard.
Okay, yeah, I heard
Jedi Master.
I heard that you should play it on hard or the hardest because it makes it feel better.
Jedi Master is the one that I put on, which is essentially hard difficulty,
okay.
quote unquote.
What's past Jedi Master? Is there anything?
Yeah, there's one past it. Yeah.
What's it called?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
There's one after.
How is Jedi Master not the hardest?
I don't know because I know normal is Jedi Knight.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
So yeah, I played it on that difficulty because it's like, okay, I've heard that gameplay-wise it's kind of similar to like a Dark Souls or Bloodborne, where it's, block, parry, dodge.
Right, so you wanted to be on.
So I was like, I want to be like
familiar
that,
that. Instead of being like
just a machine
like that, but
through
boring.
Everything. Yeah. And it was so good. If you play it, even if you're bad at those games, play it at that difficulty because it's still not ridiculously hard. Like the difficulty that I put it on should have been normal.
That's I think we've talked about this before. How like most game companies actually create the game on like hard difficulties, but they make it the normal, so that way people feel better when they play at hard difficulties because it makes them feel like they did better.
Yeah, I thought really good writing in it as well. Really good story. The guy who you play as the main character, Cal, it's the actor who played Joker in the Gotham series.
Okay,
I can't remember his name. Ginger guy.
No, I didn't watch. Oh yeah. He looks like him.
Yeah,
they modeled it after him, like almost
exactly
identical.
Him. Yeah, really good. I wasn't expecting to be like a good voice actor since he's an actual actor. They tend to struggle sometimes breaching the gap, but no, not a single fault. There wasn't a character in it that I didn't think was likable or compelling. They all had depth It was serious, but also had that
Lighthearted.
good, like, Star Wars lighthearted campiness as well.
That's good. I mean, like, I know the visuals looked really good. The gameplay
it's
looked
beautiful.
fun.
Best part of it, though, it's been 100% the sound design.
Yeah.
The sound design, because
I mean, it's Star Wars, it has to
Yeah.
have good sound design, or else what's the point?
it's like you can manually, like, eject and turn off your lightsaber using your D-pad.
Yeah.
And it's just, sometimes you just be running around and you just do it because the sound is so satisfying.
So, like, it's funny because I was reading some articles that was talking about how like not just articles but also just like looking at some people's opinions, and they were saying that this is kind of like a slap in EA's face, saying EA proved itself wrong by showing that a single player game with no microtransactions and just like a game to play with a story that's only like 20 hours long maybe
Doesn't overstay its welcome.
is super fine.
Yeah, and super fun.
That you could have a gameplay from, like, as long as you had a game with, like, a single-player game with, like, no online elements, with no, like, pay-to-play, or no, like, continued subscription or anything like that.
There's
Like,
nothing, it's not even leaderboard.
if you go from, like, 10 to, I'd say 40 hours maximum you'd want on, like, a single-player game, like, in all honesty, nowadays, because people, as they get older, have less time. But that people are totally for that. And people are saying that they're hoping this will lead to an even longer and like more fleshed out version, maybe a second one that's longer, has more to it, fix some of the small bugs and issues that people have had.
Yeah.
But other than that, they literally proved themselves wrong and said, no, people don't want a game as a service as much as you think.
Yeah, here we are
For everything,
with this. It's been super successful. Well, it's gotten great reviews. It's been selling really well.
Yeah, apparently it sold pretty damn well. Like, people, like, way above than what their expectations were, I think.
And it's canon to the Star Wars universe.
Oh, is it really now?
It's not its own little separate thing. It's actually canon.
I'm gonna have to play it then.
It's, because I was like, I wonder if this is canon. So I googled it about halfway through to see. And apparently did, like, comic prequels to it and everything.
Okay.
And that the characters that are in the game are mentioned in, like, the Darth Vader comics that came out a couple of years ago.
I think most stuff made nowadays, I think it's kind of like how people were with the extended universe back in the day, is
just keep adding to it.
Since Disney's like refreshed it though and took that all away, everything else that comes out is kind of canon. It seems like what it seems like they're trying to do. It's like they people were upset because they wiped away the extended universe, but I think that they did that to create their own extended universe. Because there is a lot of plot holes if you were to follow just extended universe. Like when you look at like Luke Skywalker's kid, and you look at Han Solo's kids,
a lot
and all
of
this
stuff.
stuff. It's so much to have to try and retcon and make right.
And they've made some really good decisions as well. Like in old Legends, wasn't like the red lightsabers just artificial kyber crystals?
Yeah,
that they were manufactured.
Yeah,
but in new canon, it's like you take an already existing kyber crystal and you quote unquote make it bleed.
Oh, that's weird.
And that's what turns it red. So
hopefully that's not in the podcast, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so you have to like take it somewhere really hot, and then you pretty much have to meditate with it and kind of express your anger and dark side powers into it, and it corrupts it. So the crystal itself actually starts to bleed and weep like a tree.
That's weird.
And that's what makes it red. But you can cure it, quote unquote cure it. And if you cure it with light side power, it goes white.
I'm very confused.
Yeah,
but it sounds interesting. It sounds like they're trying to make like a little like more of like a metaphysical sort of level
it's like
to
an
everything.
actual like thing. Like I remember reading one of the comics, Darth Maul's is apparently the angriest kyber crystals that were made. That he like trapped himself in a furnace and nearly died trying to make his.
See, I feel like taking stuff like that, there's good and bad aspects to it. I kind of liked the manufactured thing. Like the thought of it was like the kyber crystals were manufactured so they didn't have any of the actual like proper force thrown through it, so they're just like red shitty little like manufactured things. But I don't mind the thought of what you're saying either. Of
it makes them a bit more personal.
Yeah, it makes it seem like it's like someone has to intentionally try to make it.
Like to a Jedi, the whole thing is that your crystal chooses you.
Right.
You go into this place and you search for your crystal and it calls out to you, and then you get it. The Sith didn't really have that. They just kind of made them in a factory.
Yeah, I can see that aspect. I'm trying to remember. I can't recall if like playing like the Old Republic, what their thought process, if it was like supposed to be manufactured, if that was what the lore that they were going for, or if it wasn't.
I can't remember either.
Because I know that there's like the lore of the crystals. They were in the like crystal caves, and they had certain like different colors and like qualities to it, but I don't know what their exact.
And I will say this though,
Specification
that in The
was.
Last Jedi they do confirm that in new canon, the whole Crystal Claves, I think it's on like Ilum or something the planet's called, the snowy place, is still there. That's still in new canon. Because
good.
they've never like talked about it before,
Right.
since, Disney took over and changed everything. But now they have like outright confirmed they still do it the old way.
We even have like kind of confirmation. I remember hearing maybe it was like a year ago, back when like near when Disney was kind of in that whole getting into things.
Yeah.
And they I'm pretty sure like someone from Disney or something like that kind of pseudo confirmed that like the Revan storyline, it might actually still be canon as well. And it's because I think that the reason why that is, and they haven't come out straight out and said yes or no, is because they like that storyline.
Yeah.
Because it's a good storyline. It's a
Great storyline.
It's an amazing storyline. But yeah.
And that's a lot of things people are theorizing, that with the success of this game, that they're going to do more, but they're not going to continue with. They might continue with the character that we have, but then people are going, okay, but maybe they'll have Star Wars Jedi and a new subtitle, and it'll be a different, just new independent story.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are thinking that we're going to get games that will go into like Revan and stuff like that, and we'll go back to the Old Republic and even further back.
Yeah.
To, like,
I'd love more games. If they're going to do anything that's Old Republic related, I would need them to make it at least a good portion, have that sort of RPG discussion elements to it.
Yeah.
Because I will not stand by to have just like a pure action game, because like the whole thing that made KOTOR great was having the discussions and being like, my brother just sent me something the other day actually from KOTOR. I can't remember if it was 2 or I can't remember, but there's like this part where you have a conversation, you're in like an area and you're having like, you're grilling basically a guy trying to figure out, like in a courtroom, like whether he knew something was going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's like an Erodian or whatever. And he's like, oh, gloopor, blah, blah. And he's like talking about how like he, like, trying to say something. And then when he's like, are you telling the truth? And then like you have like the Sith commander that's like, don't say it, gloopor. And then he's like, gloopor, wonky. And it's just like, oh, it's so fucking good. Just the conversation. It's such a good conversation. Like there's like all the dialogues and like making that choice, because you feel like you're part of it.
Yeah.
And you feel so much for those. If they made like an updated version of that, like you could use the same engine as, what is it, Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah.
And you could use like the same engine and maybe even have like the fighting be the same, but have the story elements.
Because it's really easy to do that, because how the game works, it kind of works like, I don't know what game would be a good example to compare it to. There's multiple planets you go to, and there's like small areas that for the story are fairly linear. It's a straight path through them, that you walk through them. But you can like explore them to an extent.
Okay.
So it's like the little secret passageways off to the side, and when you get a new power, if you go back to an old planet, you can now access this path and get a
so it's
new
kind
lightsaber power.
Yeah, it sounds fun. I don't know.
We could totally do it.
I didn't expect this topic to be that long, but that sounds. I want to play the game now, so now I'm gonna want to play the game, and it's just gonna make me want more Star Wars.
Yeah,
more Star Wars again.
By the looks of it, we're going to get a lot more, because it's done very well.
Yeah,
and they'd be fools not to.
They'd be absolutely stupid. I can't even wait for the new Star Wars to come out, to be honest.
Oh yeah, that's soon, isn't it? It's like in December.
December 20th, I think.
Is it?
Somewhere around there.
My God.
Yeah.
It's so close.
You know what else is close?
What, Cody?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Oh. Thanks. That was a terrible segue. I had a great one in mind, and you ruined it.
What? That wasn't a segue. Why don't you just tell me what the segue is?
Oh, I was going to say, well, speaking of things to come in the future.
Saying speaking of, and then going into it is a mediocre segue. It's
a great segue.
A great segue is going like...
We should create merch and just have, speaking of...
Speaking of, a great segue is when you're just like, yeah, Star Wars. That new Cybertruck, it looks like it could be in Star Wars, doesn't it? That's a great segue when you don't even mention it. We don't have great segues, we have mediocre segues.
And that's what makes us podcast great.
The most mediocre of segues.
Oh, that should be our subtitle. The Geek Podcast, the most mediocre segues.
Anyways, Cybertruck.
The Cybertruck. Elon Musk announced his new feat of technology. And it looks like something from a PS1 game.
Do you think that Elon Musk could release a perfume and called Elon's Musk?
If he doesn't within the next, 3 months, I swear to God.
And
Elon Musk.
it's just shaped polygonal like the Cybertruck. And you just like, you give it a couple squirts and it's literally just like, it's been manufactured from his sweat.
Or it just like smells like the inside of a Tesla.
It just is the inside of his. It's like we've progressed so much that you spray it and you turn into a Tesla.
Just turn into a Tesla.
For about an hour
Yeah.
until the smell fades. People perceive you as a Tesla, and it leaves less of a carbon footprint because
I was thinking more so like Apologies Potion from Harry Potter, where you drink it and turn into someone else. You drink it and turn into Elon Musk.
you actually take like a chunk of the broken glass from the failed Cybertruck windows and you mix it in, like instead of like their hair, to get some of his DNA for the Apologies Potion.
Oh, sweet mother of Christ.
Yes.
Anyways, he revealed the new Cybertruck in a stellar demonstration
Mostly.
where he talked about all the great things it can do and how indestructible it is. Where he then had, who was it, like a baseball player or something?
Yeah.
Throw a steel ball at the window to prove how unbreakable it is. And the glass shattered.
Yeah, the glass shattered.
It didn't break, but it like cracked.
Yeah, it spiderwebbed.
Yeah.
And he literally comes out and says, like, he goes, listen, they tried it again after the first one because they're like, that seems odd. So they tried it again with another.
So it happened again.
And then he goes, I literally don't know what's happening because we tested this like 15 minutes before and it was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And then he goes, we've actually tested everything, including the kitchen sink against us. Like, we're not kidding. We threw a kitchen sink at it. And it didn't break. So
Yeah.
he's like, I don't know why it's doing this, but there you go.
And afterwards he posted a video of them doing the test literally before they walked out on stage with it. And he just like throws it against the glass like 4 or 5 times in a row. And it just bounces off.
It degraded it.
So obviously they did it too many times and weakened. So when he threw it on stage, it just happened to be that last one.
The funny part is that after that fiasco, he lost like $6 million in worth or something.
Oh
like that.
yeah, he lost a lot of money.
It was like $6 million in worth, like down for his like stocks.
I seen memes. In the first Captain America movie, when they go to the little like to the Future Today convention.
Yeah.
And Howard Stark showing off the flying car and it crashes.
Yeah.
People are like, that's Elon Musk.
But in terms of everything else went fine, and his sales for this actually have been going up.
Yeah. As of yesterday, 250,000 people have pre-ordered one of the Cybertrucks.
Now, give us a couple of the some of the important statistics of the truck, like stuff that's interesting about it, like what it comes with. The most important parts, obviously.
Okay, so it comes in 3 forms. We can get 3 different types. There's a single motor rear-wheel drive,
which that's pretty average. You'd expect, yeah.
Standard. A dual motor all-wheel drive version, which is a little bit better.
Yep, there you go. That's pretty good. All-wheel drive is always nice.
And then this mysterious tri-motor all-wheel drive.
That won't even be ready for a year after the other ones come out.
Yeah, because they're still trying to, make it.
Yeah, finish out the kinks of like a tri-motor. Like, that's nuts.
And the differences between them, more or less, they're all the same, except usually 3 things. 2 or 3 things. That's different. So the single motor can go 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds.
Which is great. That's amazing.
Which is fast and can tow up to 7,500 pounds.
Yep.
But then when you go to the tri-motor, that can go from 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds.
4.5 seconds. Which is like, oh my god, that's real fast.
That's really fast and
for a truck.
Can tow up to 10,000 pounds.
And you're just like, there's no way it can get more.
Oh, but it does. Then you have the tri-motor, which can go 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds.
Less than 3 seconds.
Less than 3 seconds and can tow 14,000 pounds.
It's absolutely nuts.
Which would make it one of the, strongest trucks out there.
Strongest, fastest, and with I mean, obviously the range of how far they can go is different too.
Oh, yeah.
So it goes all the way from the first one being 250 plus miles on a all electric to the max being 500.
With the possibility of a bit more because you can buy a solar panel attachment.
And depending on where you're driving, like if you're on somewhere where it's mostly flat ground, you probably get better.
Get that bit further.
Less start and stop, you get further.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's come out and said that it's actually faster than a Porsche 911.
Yeah, it's...
Which is ridiculous. And it's supposedly like a tank.
Yeah, it's supposedly bulletproof. You can take sledgehammer to it, you'll be fine. Like they did that live, and I don't even think there's barely a ding.
Oh yeah, it just bounced right off.
Yeah, listen, it literally does look like low polygon count, like PlayStation 1 era looks. But at the same time, it has that look about it that is completely, like, it's like efficiency. It's like taking away that, like, I was reading a good article and it was talking about how people were talking about the look of it. And then everyone, like they said, you have to understand that most cars actually look bad. We're just programmed to think what a good looking car looks like. But actually they don't look good. You know what I mean? And you look at this thing and you're like, okay, it looks good in terms of, especially it's minimalistic, and it looks like it does what it needs to do amazingly well.
Oh, yeah.
And that's all that matters, isn't it?
And for, like, what you're getting, like this ridiculously overpowered truck, the price isn't that ridiculous. It's cheaper than a Tesla.
Yeah, it's like 40 grand for the base model, all the way up to, I can't remember how much the most expensive. It's probably, I think it's like a little over 70 grand or maybe 80.
Yeah, but like...
It might be more because it is tri-motor,
yeah,
but
the
still.
most expensive one probably reaches, the same price as a brand new, most recent model Tesla.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show how efficiently made these have been.
Well, yeah, because they were made with efficiency, not style and look. Like, a Tesla's great for what it is. Electric design's great. It looks good and all that stuff. It's good speeds, but it's made to look good with it. It's made with that thing of, like, we take away efficiency for the look of it. Yeah. And, like, someone to want to buy it. And the Cybertruck just looks like it was made to be... You have to also remember, this is a truck.
Yeah, it's not a car, it's a truck.
A normal truck can cost about 40 grand.
Yeah.
Like a standard truck, brand new, can cost about 40 grand. Not to mention that you could pay like 6-7 grand and get self-driving.
Yeah.
Installed into it.
And the reason he gave for why it looks so like rigid and has such sharp edges is because of the ultra-hard 30X cold-rolled stainless steel that they couldn't find a press that could bend it well enough. So they just had to keep it as rigid as they could. And
that's fine, because it also keeps the price point down of not having to put extra money and time into trying to get it into the shape that they want.
It's such a modular car. It's put together like Lego.
Yeah, like it's going to be like, you remember how back, maybe it was like 6 years ago, they were talking about, like, oh, look at these modular phones that people are going to be getting into, where it's like building block phones, where you could be like, I want this stronger camera. All you have to do is pull out this part and put in a new camera, and it's as easy as, like, snapping it in onto a base that they have. I need a faster processor. And then it never went anywhere because people were like, oh, why would I do that? I would just stick with the iPhone, where I don't have to worry about anything. I'll just stick with my Android. And it's like, we could have had a fucking phone that literally at any point you could upgrade to something without spending enough money to just buy a new CPU.
Yeah.
Buy a new, like, more hard drive space. So it's supposed to be like modular in the sense of, like, you could literally be like, all right, pop out this back part, put in a new back part that has, like you said, solar windows that, like, will take in more energy so your batteries last longer.
Yeah. You can get something like an extra 300 miles out of it.
Yeah. Pop out I'm assuming they'd come up with stuff like, pop out the lights, put in new lights in the front. Maybe different brightness, different color. Pop out one of the doors, you can put in a new one that just has a different way that it opens, does something, like, functionally different. It's being made to
work in
be versatile.
Pretty much any situation that it can be good in.
It looks awesome, and as much shit as people are trying to give it. What were we looking at the 2-day sales? It was 250,000 orders already.
As of yesterday, it was 250,000.
If you want to put a pre-order down for this, to, like, get it started, you literally only have to put down $100.
Yep.
$100 will get you set up into a pre-order of it where they'll make it for you.
Which is ridiculous. And it's like, something else I was going to say, it's, in mind. But like you're saying, it's modular, like, you can buy, like, a little hatchback part to it. So, the way some trucks have, like, a larger, like, roofed trunk area.
Yeah.
It's like, you could just buy that for this. That the roof part of it, where it's sloped, folds out into a ramp.
Yeah.
So you can ride an ATV up into it. An ATV which they are making. It's a Tesla 2-person electric ATV.
Yep.
That has the same material as the car on it.
And I mean, like, the like, it basic, and if you don't want any of that extra stuff,
You don't have to get
the
it.
basic version of it is just a standard truck where you lift up the top part of it, and it's just a truck bed.
Just truck.
You get a truck bed.
And it's a pretty big truck bed as well.
And I'm assuming it's going, it's 100 cubic feet or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And the thing is like, because it's modular, it's able to be, you could get that double.
Yeah.
If they wanted to make it double.
As well as they're going to offer, like, trailers that go with it.
Yeah.
That are, like, again, the same material, that look the same.
And that could be easily pulled, probably still going 0 to 60 in, like,
yeah, like
3
if
seconds.
you have like the tri-motor one and you're doing it in like less than 3 seconds, attached to the trailer, you're probably doing it in still about 3.5.
Yeah, it looks great. I think anybody that's like writing this off is stupid.
Yeah.
Because it's a great price. It has like a lot of good functionality. It's all electric.
Yeah. And it's also apparently been modeled off various like nerd culture stuff. So he said that the Warthog from Halo was a big inspiration. That the cars from Blade Runner, the original one, were a big inspiration.
It looks so sleek. The inside of it looks like a desktop,
beautiful.
like where you're gonna have like your folders and your notes and stuff, and you just have like a nice TV in the middle.
Like it just looks like there's a marble countertop at the front of it.
It literally looks like a marble countertop.
And like there's your screen displaying like a little steering wheel that
looks like a spaceship steering wheel.
Yeah, and it looks like the bare minimum because in his head he's probably going, this isn't going to be used much.
Yeah.
We want to get to a point where the car is going to drive itself, so why waste money on a really fancy steering wheel?
Yeah, with a bunch of buttons. Like, we'll just have this little, like, spaceship thing. And eventually when you know, because they're going to have it where it comes out so you can have little jetpacks in the bottom of the truck, so you can just start flying everywhere. And so, like, eventually it'll just be able to, like, you just pull the steering wheel back and you start flying up into the air.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, it's in the works. 2025, they told me.
Or it'll be like...
I got insider information.
Or the car from iRobot. It's self-driving. You know, the bit when he's driving through the tunnel and then the trucks with all the robots start attacking him, and he presses the button and the steering wheel comes out.
There you go.
Because it's like the secondary option is to drive manually.
It's like, why?
Yeah, that's where we're going.
It looks cool, and yeah, buy one.
I mean, it's rumored.
We're not sponsored, by the way, but I would
But if you want to sponsor us, Elon,
I would totally let Cybertruck sponsor us if I got a free Cybertruck out of it.
even if I got one for like half price, I'd do it.
20,000 for a Cybertruck?
Deal.
Hell yeah, I'd suck a dick for a Cybertruck.
We need to edit that soundbite. I need to keep that.
Just gonna hear, I suck a dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then just anything you want there.
Then I could cut any other like audio bit from any other podcast.
Maybe if you actually edited the podcast, you'd be able to do that.
Well, if I had a computer decent enough, I would.
On from Cybertruck, though.
Moving on to...
More interesting news.
See, I said moving on to.
Moving on to... Moving on 3.
Oh!
Resident Evil 3 Remake is apparently already in the works.
And is expected to come in 2020.
So, according to some sources, we already have Capcom reportedly working on Resident Evil 3 Remake that's going to be exactly how the Resident Evil 2 Remake was kind of put out, where it's like its own game, but it's a remake of it. So, like, it's different, but it's the same at the same time.
It just reminds
like a proper remake.
It just reminds you of that James Franco gif, where it's the same, but different, but still the same.
But it is like, how else do you explain it? Because like sometimes when you think of remakes, you think this is like it ends up being a completely different game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a completely different movie if they do a remake of a movie. It's not the same at all, but it's based in the same world, and they say this is a remake.
It's like Resi 2 is really similar in some aspects, and then really different in others.
Yeah, it was a remake. It was as if it was made like if you would have taken that and you said, all right, 21 years later,
what if we made it for the first time again? What would it be like?
This is what it would be like in today's current gen,
and
it worked out good.
That's why it was so successful.
Now, if these reports are correct and they're actually making Resident Evil 3 Remake, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be because this is the one. So if you don't know, this is the one that who is it? The main character?
Jill.
Is it Jill?
Yeah, it's
Jill. And you're running around inside of. I want to say that it's another police station, isn't it? There's like a student place to learn and stuff like that. And like
it's Raccoon City again. You run through a lot of similar places too.
And the main villain is Nemesis. Mr. Stars. He sees a star and he's like programmed to kill anybody that has. It's been so long since I played, so if I'm butchering the story and stuff.
You're not though. He literally was programmed. I remember. He'd see you and be like, "Oh, programming."
Yeah, he's programmed to kill anybody related to the Stars program because they like didn't want anybody related to like the police department or something like that.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of witnesses.
Yes.
Loose ends.
So yes, and he was undefeatable, and at least to the end of the game, and he was actually the scariest motherfucker ever. I actually have a horror story where I was playing this for the PlayStation, and I was young. I was 12, maybe, and I don't know why I decided to play it, but I started to play it, and then all of a sudden Nemesis came out of nowhere, and he goes, "Star!" And I'm like, no. So I run, and I'm like, I'm absolutely terrified. I'm still afraid of horror games, like, to this day, guys. But like, it was like even worse back then. Like, there was games that it like weren't scary, but if they had a time limit, I would be scared because I would be afraid of the time limit.
Yeah.
And I remember I ran into like the classroom area of this place, and I like went to the back of the room, like in the very far back where there was like a developing station, and I sat there and I was like, "Oh, I'm so scared." I'm like, "At least he can't come in here." And then all of a sudden I started hearing pounding on the door, and I was like, "This isn't that doesn't happen in video games. Video games can't transition to loading screens and have it happen like that." And all of a sudden I hear boom, boom, and then all of a sudden the door I just hear breaks open, and I remember I like slapped my PlayStation, like the CD opens tray, and it opened, like the top opened up and the game like paused, and I was like, "I'm done. I'm never playing this again." And I never played it again.
Nice.
It was horrifying.
Nice.
The game was terrifying.
I think it's going to be interesting if they do it, because obviously in Resi 2 they added, what was it, Mr. X?
Yeah.
They added him, who was very Nemesis-esque, and how he just kind of was constantly coming after you like an unstoppable force.
Yeah, and I didn't really care. Like, I don't know. It wasn't the same. Like, he was...
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
He was intimidating, but he wasn't, like, scary.
But I'm saying, like, mechanic-wise, he was...
Very similar.
Very similar, except he didn't really, shoot giant guns at you and things like that.
He didn't shoot missile launcher at you.
Yeah.
He didn't... I mean, I'm assuming he busted through doors and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't... But, like, Nemesis would just, like, tear through and chase through doors.
Yeah.
He wouldn't just, like, walk, like... Here I come.
Like,
he was
like
run upstairs at you, be terrifying.
He'd like Kool-Aid Man through a wall.
Yes, no, literally.
Yeah, literally, yeah. I think it'd be cool. Do you think that if they do remake Resi 3, like if it is legit, do you think they're going to have like Nemesis v Mr. X in it? Where Nemesis is just going to murder Mr. X in like half a second just to make Nemesis scarier.
That would be stupid.
It's like, oh, you're terrified of this guy, well here's like...
Well, here's this guy.
Yeah.
Who is even scarier than this guy?
It's like, I think they did it in like one of the Jurassic Parks.
Because I mean, Nemesis was literally just one of the wasn't he one of the scientists or something like that? And like, he was like, he did it to try and... He injected himself with it because something happened with like his daughter or something like that, and he was trying to make himself.
Was Nemesis the one with the big eye?
No, that was the first.
That was the other guy.
That was the first one. This is like, and like he then he turned himself, and then he got programmed into something.
Yeah, he got turned into like,
I don't know. He turned into a monster
for Umbrella.
Yes. Well, that's because that's what all of these like super monsters were. They were weapons.
Yeah,
I mean. The Resident Evils, like T-Virus and stuff like that, are all weapons, anyways. So they're made to be like the whole zombie plague thing is actually just a weapon.
It's supposed to just be a weapon.
They're bioweapons.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I'd love to see how they go if they go really in depth with it. But until we get more information, all we can do is speculate that in 2020 we're probably going to get a remake of Resident Evil 3.
More than likely, I'd like just a whole Resident Evil game where you get to play as Tofu.
Who the hell's Tofu?
I remember. I think it was in Resi 2. After you complete the game, there was like the escape mode, where it's like you were timed and you had to run through the whole game as fast as you could. Originally, you played as Hunk, the gas mask guy, and that if you beat it in a certain time and got a certain grading, you unlocked Tofu, which he was literally a stick of tofu.
Really? I never played Resident Evil 2.
What? Yeah, you could play as Tofu.
Oh, you mean you literally played as Tofu?
You literally played as like a thing of tofu.
That is the most funny thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's great. Like, you were literally just a stick of tofu.
Was this in the remake as well?
I think so. It looks like it. Yeah, it was.
That is the most funny thing.
I can't believe you didn't know about tofu.
I did not know about tofu.
You've learned something new today.
Well, that's just amazing.
Isn't it just? Because you played as Hunk, like the super badass
Yeah.
umbrella soldier. And when you beat that in a certain time, you unlocked tofu.
Who's a super badass.
Stick of tofu, and he has a little hat.
Well, that's very interesting. Excited to see that.
Speaking of something else that's coming.
I gotta pee.
That's a really terrible segue.
So after a little pee break that you guys didn't get to be a part of, and then a little half of a cornbread that Kyle's never had before, which real quick, how do you feel?
Feel fantastic.
Is the cornbread nice?
Really nice.
It's not you know how, let me tell you how hard it was to get to get cornmeal, the main component of cornbread. You couldn't get it in any store around here.
No.
You can't get it. You can get it online, but it's a hassle. So the only place that it could have gotten was Becca and her mom went to an Asian shop in Newbridge.
Oh, down the foreign quarters, I call it.
Yeah, and there's an Asian shop that's there, and they had it there.
Was it down where all the Polish shops were?
I'm assuming so, probably.
They didn't take you.
but the funny part is they went in there and, like, you know, Becca asked the person working there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not sure. Like, I think it's this," and brought her two different things, and like two different bags of cornmeal, and one of them was just cornmeal, the other one was gluten-free cornmeal.
Oh.
And I looked at Becca and I was like, "Babe, cornmeal isn't made with wheat, so it doesn't have gluten to begin with." And then she's like, "That's what I thought." And then I looked at the package. It's the exact same thing, except for they just branded one that's saying no gluten. And then the
clever.
other one. And I'm just like...
That's clever.
And they charge 10 cents more for it as well.
That's clever.
And I'm just like, cornmeal is made from corn.
It's in the name.
There's no gluten. So anyways, I thought it was funny, but yes, you had a cornbread for the first time ever.
Yeah, first time ever.
What would you say that it's like?
It's, I can see what people say when it's very similar to, like, a bun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, texture-wise, very similar to a bun. Mm-hmm. I'd say when you were saying if it's heated up with a bit of butter, some potatoes, I'd say that's going to be
The gravy.
outstanding.
Yeah, I made homemade cornbread, everyone. Also, green bean casserole. So
I've never had that either.
you had it last year, didn't you? When I made it,
Did I?
oh,
I
maybe
don't think I did.
I don't think you came in time, and
No,
I
it
think
was
Jan
all
and
gone,
Nicole.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was it. I think it was all gone by the time I got here.
Delicious. But anyways, we're gonna finish up with this with these topics so we can get on to our Thanksgiving that I've forced these Irish people to have.
Yeah, he's
kind
forcing
of.
us into it, just like the Americans did in the very first Thanksgiving.
Oh my god.
You've showed up and you're forcing the natives into it again. Good job, Cody. Good job.
So, talking about forcing people into doing stuff, Red Dead Redemption 2 started off being on only Rockstar's little,
Yeah.
what is it, app? Or what is it called? I don't
So
even-
it's just their launcher.
It's just called Rockstar Launcher?
It's just called the Rockstar Launcher.
And I remember we had talked about how kind of dumb it was to
Yeah.
force it, but we liked the fact that they were offering a reason to go to it.
Yeah.
But we both agreed that the reason that
It's just for their own little bottom line.
Yeah, because they knew that they wouldn't have to spend money, and they knew that if they can entice people with a free game, that it'd make people want to come.
All the money would be going to them. They wouldn't have to pay it to a third party.
But apparently, it didn't sell quite as well as they thought from the first party on their platform, or at least it didn't sell good enough that they wanted to hold off on putting on other platforms longer, because according to Rockstar Games,
It's coming to Steam.
December 5th.
Yeah.
So
like
literally
next week.
Literally, like, what is it? A month or two months maybe since it came out on PC?
Nearly exactly a month. It was the start of November when
Yeah. So they
the launcher launched.
now
Launcher launched?
Yeah, launcher launched. So in any other capacity, like if it had been like a few months or had been like a year,
Yeah, if they came
or-
out like in January and said, okay, it's coming to Steam now.
Or
you'd go, fair enough.
or even if they would have been like, it's only coming out on our Rockstar platform now, but it will be out on stuff later.
Yeah.
Then you'd be like, okay, well, they planned for this. But to me, this sounds like
A last minute thing.
maybe they were like, oof, we're actually not, like, I'm not saying that it did bad. I'm just saying maybe they thought
It would do better.
we're not doing good enough, and we know we could get more.
I'd say what they see is that they compared it to GTA. GTA 5 when they swapped it to console to PC. The comparison in sales was probably like, okay, that's a good comparison. They've done it with Red Dead. It probably hasn't been the same type of percentage.
No, and it wouldn't be, because Red Dead Redemption 2, no matter what you say, is not as popular.
No, it's not.
You have to know that. Like, anybody has to know that.
It's like in GTA you have like flying cars and rockets and missiles and big explosions and wacky things. That appeals to a lot more people. Red Dead is like very grounded. And
just because it has the same type of gameplay does not mean it's similar. Doesn't mean it's the exact same gameplay. It's different. It really is different.
Yeah, it's like imagine like in GTA if you had to eat in order to just aim your gun. A lot of people don't like that factor in Red Dead. You have to eat to keep your stats up.
There's a lot of stuff about it, and and you hear people talking about, like, there's a couple of people that were like, made comment on this, and they said like, oh, does this feel like this game has gone relatively unnoticed on PC? It felt like Red Dead 2 was the second coming of Christ on PS4, and then the PC release has been just meh reaction. Yeah. And it's because we already talked about a lot of technical issues that I don't think that they've even fixed yet.
A lot of them they still haven't fixed, and there's a bigger update coming in December. I read it this morning actually, where they're adding a few things that they haven't announced, but then they're adding a bunch of stuff for PC players.
Yeah,
they're trying to sweeten the pot now for them.
And I know that the major stuff has been fixed on, but I know like there's a lot of smaller things that they're just like, do you think that you would have had this worked out for the PC release? Well, to me it sounds like it literally is only so many people cared about it. So yes, it was kind of like the second coming of Christ on PS4.
Yeah,
but because like, people that own PS4, for one, probably had already played Red Dead Redemption 1, or and Xbox and stuff like that. Sorry, for games, for the consoles in general. They had, what it is. Yeah. But because this had never been on PC before,
it was a huge thing.
You know what I mean? Like it's completely different market that you're going for, because, Grand Theft Auto, you can say what you want, but that series was on PC as well to begin with. It may not have been the first priority,
but it was on it.
But it was on it not too long after every single one. Like, you can play GTA, the original, all the way up to the newest one, all on PC. Yeah. And you could do it relatively soon after. Like, you
just have to look at the Rockstar game launcher. They have all of them.
And so you look at this and you think, if you're trying to compare it, it's just not the same. Red Dead Redemption 2 might have done good sales, but there's no way that it's going to hit the same levels as Grand Theft Auto. It won't.
Yeah. I see a lot of people saying that the reason it might be as successful is because of the online. That GTA 5's online has just been so popular and so successful, and Red Dead hasn't been meeting that. And that's why they're struggling on PC, because the pull would be the online at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're interested in the story, by now you know the story. Whether you've played it or not, you know what happens. It's kind of unavoidable to
or you
avoid those spoilers.
You're playing single player, and you're like, oh, like I'll play it on my, my console that I own.
Yeah, like, people now are playing it for the online. The large player base is the online player base, not the single player base. And I think that's suffering because it's just, people don't really give a crap about it.
It's just not that, enticing to keep you going.
It's like the people that are in it are really into the online, are really attached to it. But if you're not into it, you're not going to bother.
And when you're on a PC PC player base, the PC players already have games like this. You know what I mean? That are pretty, they may not be the pull for this for a PC player would have to be the story and the online for someone from PC to want to keep playing it, because PC is majorly about the online. And when there's other games that are similar that I can get, like, you can mod the shit out of it so good of GTA 5 on PC that you might as well be playing Red Dead Redemption, you know what I mean? So
I was Googling to see if... Okay, yeah. So another thing that might be doing it is that you can't transfer your online character. So if you started your game on console and you're level 100 in online, apparently you cannot transfer your character just by the looks of it. It seems like a lot of people saying you just don't. You could do it for GTA Online.
Yeah,
but I don't think you can do it for Red Dead.
Probably not. Probably not right now.
Which is a big blow. Like, when you launch your game, you should be able to do it. Like, I know what GTA Online did, they had a special event where, like, if you transferred your character in a period of time, you got, like, a special edition car.
But well, you know what it is though. They do that. Then they do that with a lot of stuff when you're doing because like a lot of games won't do transfers to different platforms because it's like a hassle. Because basically, what has to happen is an individual person has to go and create that character, get all the same stats, everything the same, make all the stats the same, make all the money the same, make all the items in the inventory, do it all manually.
Which means that
for everyone that wants to do that.
Yeah. But they did it for GTA Online, which probably at the time when they did it had a much larger player base that they were transferring. Which kind of makes you go, are they really trying to put as much effort as they can into this?
I think what it comes down to is no matter your opinion, positive or negative on Red Dead Redemption 2, it's not as popular on the PC because it didn't have any base on the PC to begin with.
Yeah. On console, huge.
Yeah.
One of the biggest games in the past 10 years, I'd say. It was such a huge release. It'd
be like creating a new Mario for the PC and being like, here, we're moving this to the PC. Like, yeah, you'd have people that'd be like super excited for it, but most people would be like, I can play it on my Nintendo, console, and that's what it's always been.
And I think what they're doing to try fight that, they're trying to fight this tide that's pushing against them, is that they're limiting the content that's going to consoles now. Yeah. Because I was reading stuff that obviously PC has photo mode, which console doesn't have. PC's now getting exclusive weapons, outfits, and missions in coming updates. And that PC are going to get PC exclusive updates that consoles just aren't going to get. And I think they're trying to incentivize people to swap over, and I think just their sales aren't showing it. And that's why they're pushing it to Steam.
And the reason they want to do that is because they know that the amount of PC game players are starting to get higher. Like, people still have their consoles, but most people nowadays are starting to get to the point where they'll have a console, but they'll have their PC.
Yeah.
And they're starting to transition to it. I mean, like, just look at the amount of people that play games like League of Legends and you know.
It's like, you can look at me, like, sometime the next 12 months, I plan to have a proper rig set up.
At least something, you know?
Yeah, something that I can play, you know, those PC exclusive games that if I want to play them, I can play them.
And the reason why they want to switch stuff to that is because, for one, it's going to be easier for them to continuously push updates on PC. There's a reason why games on PC, especially on like a Steam platform and stuff like that, there's games that don't want, like, people don't want to put stuff on Steam, but they do it anyways because it's easier to push out certain platform updates because it all goes through their own launcher where they don't have to set that through and they don't have to worry about how it applies. Steam will apply it.
Yeah.
And there's this issue where more and more people are going to PC and they want, like, people want to put their stuff on there and they're trying to do it by incentivizing it, but you can't.
If you try to do that, though, for something that's already multi-platform, you're kind of giving a middle finger to the other platforms because you're going, well, do you actually care about us now?
Yeah, and you can't force it. You'll know if there's a appeal to want it on there.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be 100% honest with you, and this isn't me just talking shit just because I'm not interested in Red Dead Redemption 2. But, like, I can't think of many people that I know. I can't think of anybody that I know that's a PC gamer, and I know a lot of them. I mean, at least 3 of my friends, I've built their PCs, so I know that there's at least 3 friends there that only play on the PC, and then I have other friends that are primarily only PC gamers, and then a couple that are like both, and not a single one of them at all has talked about Red Dead 2 coming to PC. Not a single one of them had any interest in it whatsoever. Not at all. And I'm not saying that to say that nobody has an interest. I'm simply saying
that it's very, very small.
It's just not that big. And so you can't force it by saying, here's all these things, and then expecting people, because now what you're doing is you're creating more content for a platform that not as many people are going to want to play on anyways.
Which is just making people angry at you.
So then people aren't going to want to play on the...
No, they're not going to play on it out of spite because you're doing that.
But see, they're trying to double dip too, and for the people that have a console and a PC, they're going to be like, oh, well, just get on PC, and there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
But people aren't going to, you know, especially nowadays, they don't put up with this shit anymore.
No, they don't. They're only going to get away with this for, I don't see it going into the new year and then kind of keep pushing it towards PC and away from consoles. It's like they're going to have to stick with consoles until the next generation. And then they can ignore the old consoles.
I'll say that they'll get a decent amount of player base added in from the Steam, only because the people that also didn't want to have a whole new thing, they just put it on Steam. I'll say that they will get something, but let's all be honest with each other. After the main storyline, unless they do something to make it so the online is super exciting, I don't I don't see it continuing, like, being a big push where they're going to be making continuous sales on it. Grand Theft Auto can cover all those needs.
Yeah.
They don't ever have to make another Grand Theft Auto game.
No, they don't have to, because GTA 5 is still making money.
And
apparently Rockstar have given up, I think, development on it. They've passed off to Take-Two, so they're dealing with all the publishing and stuff like that now. But apparently they're still making something like $26 million a year off it.
Yeah, they don't have to do anything because it literally will just live off of itself.
And when they drop a GTA 6, it's gonna sell itself, because you'll have everyone going from GTA 5 going, oh, it's gonna be like this, but better.
It will, but I also have a sneaking suspicion that it's not going to...
It's not going to actually be better. In their head, you'll think it'll be better.
It's not going to do as well if they release it too soon and they don't make it actually something worthwhile to care about. Because at the end of the day, GTA 5 has everything that you need.
Exactly.
And with the mods added to it, unless you make it so all of the best part of certain mods...
Unless they pull a Bethesda on it where they took all the best mods from Fallout 3 and added them as game mechanics in Fallout 4.
If they made it so... like, there was a realistic version of Grand Theft Auto that you could play.
Yeah.
Cause you know how I liked playing Grand Theft Auto Online for the being able to rob places, being able to do certain things, like doing things that seemed realistic, playing it kind of realistically. If they added a mode for that and made it, like, more integral to the game, you'd actually probably see a decent amount of people be into
like
it.
a Red Dead aesthetic to the online, where it isn't ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah, I think that's how you would pull, because, like, then...
If you could just have servers where it's like, okay, if you're in this server, it locks out all this weird, wacky content, like all the flying cars. And then if you want all that
Do
stuff...
they not have that?
It's all one thing. You either have a private server where it's by yourself, or it's one thing. All that stuff is available to everyone.
What happened to the days of, like,
Grittiness?
Gmod and like Half-Life and these like modded servers where you could go in and like Counter-Strike and you could like, people had their own servers, you could set up your own dedicated server and then you could add whatever you want to it, and if people want to join it, you made it a name that people want to join and then they joined it.
That would be cool.
What happened to that? Why do developers think that people don't want that?
Yeah, it's not everyone just wants everything at once.
But see, that's not what it is people do want it and they know people want it, but they don't want to make it inaccessible to stupid people.
Yeah.
And no offense to anybody that's an average user, but if you can't figure out how to join a server with a name that says this is a normal server, you're stupid.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
Honestly.
Because you're ruining it for everyone that's... I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, casuals can't play these games, but literally don't make something so casual that the game isn't fun to someone that's even slightly above casual.
Above it. Like, the best thing that's ever happened to GTA 5 Online was the roleplay servers.
Yeah.
Where, like, they got rid of all, like, the flying cars and shit like that. And it was just like, it's going to be stock standard. Because it's a roleplay server. You have to go get a job. And if you want to drive a car, you have to go to the DMV and pay for a license and things like that.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was, like, my favorite part about San Andreas multiplayer online. The PC mod.
Yeah.
Like, that was phenomenal. And in GTA 5, it's just as good. It's like, but if only that was an option in the core of the game. That is like, oh, you buy this game, this is already a thing we know you want.
Yeah.
Because we can see that thousands of people are playing this every day already.
It's like when Halo, and it had like the mods set up where there's infected. And then they added infected to be a mode.
It's like, okay, people are playing this.
People forget that wasn't a mode. That was never a mode to begin with. That was like a mod that someone created like with the engine, and then they put it into the
Bungie
game.
just went, cool.
People love
We're
gonna
do it.
People play this more than the multiplayer.
Yeah. And that they did it, and that's, I think, what Rockstar should do.
Anyways, without, beating a dead horse, but also going into beating a dead horse, but getting money in return.
Yeah. Witcher 3! Woo! One of my all-time favorite games.
I'm gonna have to play through this game.
You really are. You're gonna have to.
Again. But all the way through.
Yeah. You should get on the Switch.
It costs money if I do that.
I'll buy it for you on the Switch.
If you bought it for me on the Switch, I would play the fuck out of that game. I would be pooping and playing it, and Becca would be like, Cody, get out of there! No!
I'm busy! But yeah, The Witcher 3, apparently, is still selling really well.
Well,
and if anything, is rising.
And it's rising in compared to what they made for the last quarters, and based on, like royalties and stuff like that, like licensing royalties, so it's expansion packs, The Witcher 3 itself, the little, like, Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales stuff, Gwent, and stuff like that. It's had a 38% year-over-year increase in revenue for quarter 3 of 2020 fiscal year. That means
ridiculous.
That means it actually had a bump in the amount of money that it was making compared to like probably last year when it was first putting out stuff.
Which is crazy for a game that came out when exactly?
What is it came out 2015? Yeah? Or was it 2016? No, I think it came out around the same time as Dragon Age Inquisition, didn't it?
2015.
That's why. Yeah, so that's why Dragon Age, because people were talking about how they didn't know why they would release that at the same time as Dragon Age Inquisition, because they thought that Witcher 3 wasn't going to do as well. And then the opposite happened, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because they were getting compared to themselves. I remember this because I played Inquisition and I loved it, but when you compare the two, you're like, why didn't...
When you compare them, you think like Inquisition came out like 3 years beforehand.
Yeah.
Just by content and just everything wise.
Yeah. And you'd think like, this seems like they definitely made Inquisition to try and be too similar to, I think, like The Witcher, and like action instead of being what its roots were.
Yeah. But that's like, Witcher always seemed like ahead of its time. Like even today, compared to some like open world RPGs that come out.
Yeah.
You still think that they came out before Witcher just by looking at them.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it says it makes for 25.7 million PLN, which is, what is it, Polish money?
Yeah.
Or $6.6 million increase year over year, in addition to everything named above, also aided by their GOG revenue. So that means they've made money. They've made extra money than like what they have been making
for a game that is nearly 5 years old.
I mean, you could say that a lot of that probably was from that Switch release.
Oh yeah, a big part of it probably was.
And then a lot of it is because they're like, there's the Netflix show.
Yeah,
it's being talked about still continuously. The expansions and stuff like that.
More people are like going, "Oh, this looks interesting." And I've seen the Netflix show and going, "Oh, I want to learn more about this." Yeah. They're buying the games and reading the books.
So it's nice to see. I think that overall they're obviously making less than when they were when they were making gangbusters, but it's still interesting to see though, after dipping so low compared to what they were, you know, which like you'd think not, and by low I mean in terms of like they were already rich, but by low I mean coming to the end of like what a sales period can be for a game, you know? Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like, nope, here's a big old boost because of all these other IPs that are going to it, and people are like, oh shit, this Gwent game was cool. Wait, what is it based off of? Oh, something from The Witcher? Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna go look at it.
Like a mini game from your major release is like another one of your massive sellers.
I mean, I would play a game of Pazak if they made that like a legitimate game of Pazak from KOTOR.
That would be actually pretty cool.
I loved Pazak.
Hey, EA, we were talking about you earlier. Here you go. Your next like Star Wars Fallen Jedi game. Boom. Add that in as a mini game. If people like it a lot.
People added
and then
Pazak?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And if people liked it in the game, they could release it like they did with Gwent. Boom. Money.
Anyways, I sorry, I went in a daydream state there for a second.
Kind of like his eyes rolled into the back of his head and he started like shaking a little bit.
It'd be like if they like Triple Triad from Final Fantasy or and stuff like that. They released those card games and they did something like that. I know they did like a mini thing of that once, but anyways, where were we going on? Witcher 3, yeah, it's selling well. We should have expected that, especially with the Switch release and the Netflix thing, but it's cool to see that it's still doing well.
Exactly. It's very impressive, especially it's been one of the games people are most worried about on the Switch. Going like, how will it run? How will it be? It's such a big, like, graphically intensive game. How could such a small console do it?
Everyone was saying it's better, even with it, the graphic, turning down the graphics, that it still looks great and runs great.
Speaking of not running great.
Yeah, speaking of not running great, so a few days now after the launch of Google Stadia, and we had talked about it and we said it's exactly what we thought, blah, 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 blah. It's been a mess, and there's been a lot of over-promising and under-delivering.
Yeah, so pretty much 2 days after the launch of the Stadia, the founders didn't get their codes. So people who bought the Founders Edition didn't get their access codes. Day later, they still didn't get their access codes.
By the way,
2 days later, they still didn't get their access codes.
And by the way, while this was all happening, people were getting in contact, and the people were literally saying, like the Google representatives were literally saying, yeah, I don't know, the codes were sent, so you should have received them by now. There must be something going on. I'm not kidding. They literally said that to these people.
Yeah. But then it was 2 days after, and they went, okay, the people who bought the Founders Edition, you should finally start getting your codes now. Emphasis on, start getting your codes.
Start.
Yeah. And then they went on to say the people who bought the Premier Edition will start getting theirs, early next week. And they said this on the 22nd. So the people who bought it, the Premier Edition, would only be getting their codes around now.
Literally, I don't know how you could fuck up more.
It's a mess.
Not to mention, so with this delay and stuff, and supposed to be getting, not everybody getting it at once, and then only Premier and Founder editions getting their codes, and then it turning into they don't even get their codes. So added on to all this, a little bit of more information on the Stadia is, first of all, to get the Stadia set up, you, for some reason, were required to have a Google Pixel to get it set up if you didn't have the proper stuff. So there's one issue that a lot of people were having. If they didn't have a Pixel phone, you couldn't get it initially started up in the first place, even with your code. So they had to, go through that. Then, after all that, if you have a problem with your controller, good luck, because you can't fix it yourself, because apparently it's a nightmare to get into. Literally requires a saw to get into, and the manual for the controllers from Google themselves says, do not try to open this yourself. You will cause it says, verbatim, you will cause harm to yourself or others. Please send it in. So you can't fix your own controller if there's an issue. And then, come to find out that the latency, so the input lag, is about, for most stuff, at least in 1080p plus, you're looking at over 100 millisecond input lag, which overall, for an online game, there's certain coding that's put in to make it so it doesn't seem that bad, and you can live with it. But when it's something that's right in front of you and you push a button and you have to wait 100 millisecond,
you notice it.
You notice it bad. And apparently 4K isn't even 4K.
It's not actually 4K.
And when it does get to that, it's so blurred and shit, even if you have good internet, that it's not even worth it.
So it says here on the article that we have from TheVerge.com, it said, initially Google told us, for Destiny 2 now, initially Google told us that it was using the highest resolution, highest fidelity build of Destiny 2 available, but Bungie themselves later confirmed that our eyes weren't deceiving us and said, quote, when streaming at 4K, we render a native 1080p and then upsample and apply various techniques to increase the overall quality of effect, a Bungie rep said, adding that Destiny 2 runs at the PC equivalent of medium settings.
And I think that people have to remember that upscaling isn't really a thing. It's
like adding a filter.
It's not something that's technically possible, because you don't upscale something to a higher resolution and have the same graphic fidelity, because you can't take something that's made and set at a 1080p and then be like, oh yeah, no, we upscaled it so it's 4K and have it be the same thing. No, you have things to make it similar, to make it have certain options that make it look similar.
Yeah,
but it's not
actually 4K.
It's not 4K, because that would mean that you'd have to have the 4,000 pixel resolution of individual.
Yeah,
that's not. So anybody that says that upscaling is a thing, it's technically not. And then to come out and say, so this is the other thing with that is, Google came out after people were coming out and saying that these things aren't actually 4K and we're not actually getting 4K, and they had the audacity to come out and say, we any issues with a game not being in the 1080p or 4K quality that's labeled as, those are actually all handled by the developers. So if it's developed and they say that it's 4K and it's not our fault, it's theirs.
But then when you go up, you see the quote from the Bungie devs talking about how they did it. It's, it's them saying that, Google said that it would be the highest level, but really it isn't. That it isn't the devs lying, it's Google.
So literally, you can say that the devs are the ones required to make it so their 4K looks 4K, but you're the one touting that on your platform it's going to be 4K.
You are at fault. Just because you're not the one actually doing it doesn't mean you're not still lying.
Yeah. This is what it is. The Google Stadia is a shit show, like we expected, and I don't know why anybody thought that it was going to be otherwise.
Yeah, and one of the great articles that I've seen, that it's the best streaming platform as a beta. That if it was a beta, we'd be okay with all these problems. But this is a full official release.
But see, if you're Google, because of how you went about this, you could technically be like, well, that's why we sent it out to founders and premieres first and don't have the full launch of it yet, because it's a beta.
It's technically a beta test. It's like, no, it's not Google. You're lying.
Stop. I wish these game companies would stop saying, like, game companies and all these other companies would stop saying, well, this is just technically a beta test.
Yeah.
But they released the full version of it. No. Have it come out as beta, say it's a beta,
yeah,
and don't say it's a full release and then be like, well, technically we're in like a beta phase.
It's like loads of people do that. They go, okay, this is just a beta, there's going to be a lot of issues and bugs, so make sure to send your feedback reports if you send anything, and we'll let you know when the official release is going to come. Mm-hmm. A lot of people do that. Xbox did it when they introduced their, they still have it, like the experimental version of the OS you can get on your Xbox, where you can test out all the features that are going to be coming in updates.
Yeah.
And they tell you at the start, it's like, this could work, this could not work. You could download this and your Xbox will stop working for 3 days.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, we'll handle it. Just let us know.
Uh-huh.
That's the whole point of this. No worries. That's how you do it. You don't release it break, and then go, well, actually, it was just a test.
Yeah, well, it's just a test. We're in the beginning stages of it being released. Imagine if, like, someone made you a pizza.
Ooh.
And they gave you an undercooked pizza, and they said, this is in the beginning stages of pizza. And now you have to give it time. Now we're feeding it to you now because you know you're hungry and you've been waiting.
That you paid for it now, and you were told that you'd have it now. But we didn't tell you that this is going to be unfinished.
Yeah, but we actually didn't finish cooking it yet because we didn't, like, actually properly time out things. So, like, we're gonna give it to you and you can eat this undercooked dough.
Oh, and another thing as well, there's no actual, like, tomato sauce on the pizza. We have to give that to you separately because we haven't had time to implement that ourselves.
And now, we said that the cheese was premium mozzarella, but, like, it's actually up to the creator of this. Like,
of the cheese.
We only went off what the package said. So if they didn't, like, you know, make it premium mozzarella, it's actually their fault.
Yeah, not ours.
Because we've read the package of what it said.
Even though we advertised it as such.
Yeah.
It's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
That was actually a really good one.
Yeah, I know. We're both amazing. It's perfect.
Oh, you said both.
Well, you added a little bit of pizza
sauce. You gave us both praise. Woo! Come on, he praised me.
Let's just get off with this next topic.
Okay, so moving forward.
Maybe forward, maybe someone thinking backwards. It depends on how you look at it.
So, Xbox boss Phil Spencer said recently in an interview.
Wait, can you say his last name again?
Phil Spencer.
You said Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer.
Phil Spencer. He recently said in an interview that the Xbox Scarlett might not have VR support. Because, quote, nobody's asking for VR. He also went on to say that the VR market is moving really slow, with no major VR platforms racing up the sales charts. Which, if you look at it, he isn't entirely wrong.
No.
He isn't.
He's not entirely wrong, but...
Like, is it not like a major selling thing at the moment? No. But to, demean it that much is not doing it justice.
Well, I think to take away a feature because you're not seeing it perform as well as you thought... To take away something that's implemented is stupid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like to take away the fact, look at PS4. It has VR support with its shit.
Yeah.
So why would you, when that was last gen, why would for a new gen, you have a console when you know that your competitor console has it? Why would you be like, we're not going to put it in?
Yeah. And he did come back after the fact and say that was all, quote, fair feedback. And went on to say, I've publicly said... I've said publicity.
I've said publicly.
Oh, I read that wrong. I am not very smart. I love how our industry has pioneered AI, physics, 3D, RT, VR/AR, etc. For us, it's about focus on our innovations right now. He even went on to say, I've played some fake VR games. I got to play Half-Life Alyx in the summer. Amazing.
Which is something that we're talking about
That's going to be later. And he even said, it's just not our focus for the Scarlett.
Okay, I think saying that it's not a focus is fine. I think saying making your console not VR ready is stupid because he said that the sales aren't rising. Well, you have to remember that this isn't something that just first of all is easily adopted, and second, because it's expensive to buy into. But secondly, once you buy once people bought these VR headsets and stuff like that, you don't go out and buy a new one every year. It's not a console. Like, I know...
Yeah, you buy it and it's just, you get it as it is. The main upgrades may be, like, your little handles that you hold.
Yeah, well,
that'll be it.
I know that there's new, like, things coming out. There's, like, bigger upgrades. So, like, I have the Oculus Rift, right? And I know that they came out with the Oculus Quest, which is kind of like a lesser version, but it's, like...
It's more compact.
It's mobile and you're able to move around with it. And then they released this spring the Oculus S, which is like the Oculus Rift, but there's no cords attached to it. You can play it cordless.
Thank God.
But you can connect it to the PC. But it's all built-in head motion tracker, so you don't need sensors. And the resolution is a little bit better, so it's a little less grainy. So you have less of a screen door effect.
It's just a straight upgrade.
But the thing is, though, is because it has no sensors, it's using all built-in motion tracking. So I've basically done my research to look and see, and the price of it is only $50 more than the Oculus Rift is right now.
Oh.
And I've looked at it, so like if you're going to get something, yes, get that. But I've looked at it and I'm like saying like, should I upgrade? Asking a bunch of people, looking at stuff, and most people are saying like it's not worth upgrading, because while it is a tiny bit better with resolution, so you get less of a screen door effect. If you think that the Oculus Rift looks great, which I think that when I put my head on the Oculus Rift, I feel like I'm in virtual reality.
Yeah.
And yes, it could be better, and it would be nice not to have the sensors, but to lose as good of my tracking is, and to have to just like throw out my old headset and buy a new one.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, people aren't going to do that. This isn't, you can't treat these things like consoles or like, even like PC parts, because these are something where you need to be ahead of the threshold, and someone's going to have to spend their money to buy one and have it be its thing.
Yeah, it's really questionable. Like, Sony's VR headset has sold 2 million units.
Over 2 million.
Of December 2017. And by August of 2018, they announced that it sold more than 3 million units.
So, like, no, that's not a crazy amount. I think if you think about the amount of, like...
Yeah.
The amount of PS4s out there, but like, it's an emerging thing, like 3 million units, and then 21.9 million games, VR games that are compatible with that headset.
Yeah. The thing is, I wouldn't count the games, because so many of the PlayStation games are just compatible with VR, like Resident Evil 7. That was just compatible with VR. I wouldn't count that as a VR game, though.
Right.
So I don't think that's fair, because a lot of those sales could be just for people buying the game.
But we don't know if they're counting that statistics as something that they bought either with the headset or they've used in conjunction with it.
I just feel like using game sales in comparison to how well a VR is doing, I think you should go with primarily VR games.
Right.
I think like you could buy a bundle that has your VR headset and Resident Evil 7 in it.
Okay,
you could count that as a game
What
sale.
games are primarily VR? And like for like PlayStation VR, we know
very little of them.
We know that, what is it called? The one that was like the spin-off from the actual game that was like really cheesy and campy. Okay, Beat Saber. I didn't know that was on PS4.
Yeah. Yep, Beat Saber.
Skyrim VR. I forgot was released.
That's the thing.
You're not going to buy the Skyrim VR compatible and not play Skyrim VR. You won't. Yeah. You'll just have the original version of Skyrim.
Yeah. It's like you have things like Super Hot.
Yeah, that's probably came out on it,
and that's a special VR edition, like as well. So
okay, so like then let's say, like, without even going too far into it, let's just say it like this. Yes, you at least had people buy 2 million VR headset or 3 million VR headsets by the end of 2018.
Yeah,
at least 3 million games were sold with that were VR, because you don't buy a VR headset unless you buy a VR game.
Yeah,
and
I'd say that's the minimum.
Let's be realistic. If you buy a VR headset, you probably, at least try and get used to it, you probably would have at least 3 games.
Yeah.
Now, more than that, I would say it depends on how you felt about it, and if you're playing free games, VR games that are compatible, or if it's compatible.
Yeah.
But let's say 3 games. Let's say it's at least $30 for each of those. They didn't do terrible in sales. You have at least about, I would say, 10 million games sold. So even if you took out half of what they said that they were sold in video games.
Which I think is valid, but then when you think of it from the point of Phil Spencer's shoes, he's the guy who took over after the whole Xbox One Kinect thing.
Yes.
He's the one who undid all of that stuff. So I'd say he himself is cautious about adding, gimmicky add-on stuff for launches of his new console.
But how long are we going to play by this thought of, first of all, to compare the Kinect to a VR is...
Oh, I understand. I'm not actually comparing those. I'm saying from his point of view of adding just another addition to the console.
I'm speaking as someone as if I was talking to him. So if you're worried about gimmicky stuff, to speak of a gimmicky Kinect as a VR headset, you're dumb to think that. So he's dumb if he is using that as a thing. But
I'd still get his concerns about that though. Like the Xbox One still struggled after he, fixed it essentially. The success that he got was because of his decision making. Like a bunch of Xbox developers came out and said that if it wasn't for him, the Xbox One would have not floated whatsoever.
Right.
That it would have sunk immediately.
Well, and then but what I'm looking at with this VR thing is it's a smaller. You hurt yourself there. It's a smaller market than obviously the bigger thing. But if you're looking at that, you're also saying that you don't think it's. I just don't know. Does he not think that this is going to be something big? Once it becomes something that's more easy, more games. Yeah. Me and you had a conversation, and the reason why VR isn't more popular is because, for one, it still takes a lot of resources to make stuff for it.
And there's not enough people doing it to make it easier to make stuff for it.
And there's not enough games that are coming out that are
incentivizing
games.
Yes, that are going out incentivizing people to buy VR headsets. I'm going to play this game. It's going to be a 15-20 hour game. I'm going to sit down and play it in VR.
Which
there is no games like that.
And so there's not enough of those things that are out there and that are full-fledged games that have their own thing to it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to think if those were being made and people were investing into it and trying it, then you would have a bigger market into it. But you still have people that aren't putting enough into it.
Yeah.
Do I think VR will be the only way to play video games? No.
Because they're going to be for a very, very long time.
Because there isn't going to be there's going to always be people that just it doesn't feel right on them for one.
Yeah, people have motion sickness. They physically can't play VR because it just makes them feel queasy.
And so then you're looking at stuff where you had PlayStation boss Shuhei Yoshida kind of took a jab, and he said in a tweet, "We oftentimes work hard to make things that no customers are asking for them." Do you think anybody asked Nintendo 64, when it was being created, do you think anybody asked for 3D during that time? No.
Of course not. But, it's almost naive to think that, you should just make things, even if people aren't asking for them, you should take that risk. That can be naive, because that's what happened with the Kinect. No one asked for that.
That's true, but you have to think, though, you're taking something, though, like a Kinect where no one liked it, no one asked for it, and when it was pushed out and people got it, they didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
So you're taking something that's a glorified webcam, right?
Yeah.
That no one gives a shit about because it's a glorified webcam, and you're marketing it as a whole tool, and you're comparing that to
But if you compare it to the initial Oculus, it's the one where it was big and clunky and you had to have a million wires coming out of it to play it. If Xbox or PlayStation come out and launch that as their VR headset, people would be hell no. Why would I spend an extra, $80, $90 on this thing if it's just a big clunky box with a bunch of wires coming out of it?
It's the same thing of
It's very... It's niche is how I describe it. It's a niche market, and to invest in it on such a large scale like Xbox or PlayStation is still a big risk.
Yeah, and I 100% get it, but by that thought process, it's the Wiimotes were a stupid idea because it could have went terrible, right?
Yeah.
I'm just throwing things out there. This isn't more at you. This is more just at in general.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's a healthy debate.
Yeah. you look at the Wii Wiimotes, those should have never been made because realistically those were the most gimmicky stupid things ever, and it became
one of the
best selling systems ever.
But then you look at the Wii U.
Yeah, because
which crashed and failed.
But then you look at the Switch, which took upon that and did it right.
Exactly.
So is this a thing of people not wanting something and they don't care, or is it because people aren't doing it right?
It has to be the right way.
Because you can do that for, you could think of that sort of thing for everything. Nobody bought hot heads. When the Oculus first came out, no one cared.
No.
You had people with the developer kits and stuff like that. No one cared. You had YouTubers and people going okay, this is whatever, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But and then all of a sudden, people were we think this is what it's going to be. We're going to keep investing into it. Facebook bought it. They optimized it. They went more onto it. And 3 or 4 years after that, because I remember YouTubers trying to push the Oculus back in like 2013
Oh yeah, it
or
was
so.
a long time.
It was, no one cared.
Yeah.
And then 3 or 4 years later, you had people actually being like now you can see people being like, oh yeah, I'll just pop on my Oculus.
Yeah.
And I was playing this brand new game. I was playing Five Nights at Freddy's VR.
Yeah. Like that's very much it is. You need a big investment for
And it needs to be good.
Like the Oculus had that surge after Facebook bought them because Facebook threw money at them.
Yeah,
they're like, we're giving you a dev studio. We're giving you all of this money to focus on nothing but this.
And
that's why they had that surge, and that's
Yes.
why they've gotten so much better as those years have gone on. You look at bigger companies like Sony or Microsoft. If they miss a ball, it's a big hit to them. They don't have as much of their revenue that if their console flops, they don't make money off consoles anyways.
Yeah.
So if their console flops harder, they're losing even more money.
Yeah, they're looking at it as a risk-averse reward, and I think that you have to think about it. Do you want to be the one that's behind on the trend, or do you want to be the one that's ahead and take that risk? Even though it may not be, I wouldn't say make it your forefront, but I would say do what PlayStation did and said, oh yeah, we released this and now you can do VR.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
You can do it. Why would you eliminate that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That'd be just like, it makes no sense, and it's, you know,
I don't think it makes no sense. I think it is a silly idea to say that it's not going to support it full stop. But I do get where he's coming from like a finance and business head point of view, where that risk is. I do understand his concern.
I just to write it off and say it's not popular enough for me to want to even include it as being ready, available. You're saying, you're pushing it, saying, and then to say like, I've played some really great games, but it's just not, I'm not gonna make enough money off. That's what it sounds like. I'm not gonna make enough money off of it. Instead of being like, well, what if we just have it? What if we say we're having it so you could have VR if it becomes something enough people want?
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I get that as well. It does sound like he's just trying to get money off it as well. But then we also have to remember his position. He's the head of Xbox. That doesn't mean he's the be all and end all of it. He still answers to Microsoft's board.
And when
if he doesn't make his bottom line, Microsoft can pull the plug on him.
I just don't want these people to write certain things off when you don't. It happens. History repeats itself, right? And yes, you'll have failures and you'll have stuff like that, but history repeats itself, right? And where things that you can clearly see where the future is gonna go, clearly, like, no matter what you want, AR and VR will be.
Oh, 100%.
Will be. It's not a matter of if. It's not like a little toy where you move it around a motion control and just do that.
No, it's the future.
This is something that it has no choice to be, because this is the only next step, because you can't make a screen look any better for our human eyes.
Yeah.
4K can barely be recognized by most humans.
It's like, we're going to get to a point where it's just going to be Ready Player One.
It's something like
you
it.
put on like a sensor suit and you put your headset on and you strap yourself in this little harness so you can run and jump and throw yourself around without running into a wall.
And if you think that's not going to be it now, then fine. I agree with you saying we're not putting focus into it right now because it's not big enough that people are going to want it. But
saying full stop,
yeah,
no.
and then,
which I think that's kind of what he meant, saying that the sales aren't good enough right now.
And like
that, with Alyx's release, if it does skyrocket and surge,
then maybe they'll put it in. And
they'll go, okay, the Scarlet isn't going to have it, but they always do that little second edition afterwards. That one will, like PlayStation did, where the PS4 didn't, but the Pro did. Don't be the
history repeats itself person where don't be that guy that said
no
having computer games on a PC is the dumbest and most useless thing to have, and it makes no sense. That guy, there's literally someone that came out and said
PC
there was reviews of people coming out saying, even back in the day, like, there's no reason to have a phone have a touchscreen. It's worthless. It does nothing for anybody, and it's hard to use and not practical.
Yeah, we should all just play the Bounty Box. I remember. I don't know why.
What's the Bounty Box?
That popped into my head. The Bounty Box is like, it's like a subscription service for games. That like you'd buy a Bounty Box and it's like you play stuff through your Bounty Box. So it was literally like PC hardware with a different name that you had like a Steam type like marketplace. that you could get the games to.
You know how many places have, like, how many things have done that too, and it's just all shit?
Yeah, the Bounty box.
Well, throw the Bounty box away. I don't want
Yeah.
to see this guy's face anymore. It's scaring me.
Console of the year of 2020.
Well, speaking on VR and talking about, like, why you can't completely write stuff off yet, is because even though you would say that the VR frame of mind isn't that popular, you have Half-Life Alyx being announced by Valve.
Which we mentioned earlier, and we're going to go in depth with it now. It looks amazing, frankly.
It's an amazing looking VR only game that people are incredibly excited for. And even the people that don't have VR are saying, I'm going to need to buy VR because I'm so invested. And, like, a lot of people are saying, too, that Valve is playing on the fact that they're selling a VR headset, as this is why they made it in VR only. But Valve came out themselves and said, like, yes, we have our own VR set, and we think that this is the future. But we're doing this because we legitimately see that this is where this game is going to shine, and we would not have been able to do it justice in any other form. Because this is where we believe that things are going. And this is going to pave the way for the future games that we decide to make.
Yeah, I'm just looking at comments here on the Reddit thread underneath the trailer for it, and a lot of people are just going like, this looks great.
Yeah, because
people are like, okay, I've kind of lost interest in Half-Life, but this looks kind of cool. And then people going, I've never played Half-Life, but I'm hyped as hell for this.
yeah, and it's because this is the thing is, no matter what you say, if you come out with something that looks fucking amazing and it's on a piece of hardware that people don't have or may not be popular, people will go out for that hardware and get it.
It's an incentive.
Like,
It's like you don't go out and buy a PC without having a reason if you want a game on it. You're going out to buy it because, like, oh, I'd love to, like, mod my games and have, like, this level of graphics on it. That's why you go out and buy a gaming PC.
exactly.
Why you go out and buy a PlayStation 4. It's like, oh, I want to, play The Last of Us.
Yeah, you don't buy
You don't just buy it for, like, shits and giggles.
You don't buy The Witcher 3 for the 6th time for Nintendo Switch because you're just like, oh, it's just another console to play it on. You did it because you were like, oh, I can play this on the go.
Like,
I can travel places and play this like how I play, like, sitting at my TV, or I can take a shit, or I can go for a car ride, or I can go on the plane and I can play this.
Yeah.
You play it for... You bought that because you're like, I bought the Switch because I wanted the ability to play this on the go. So, you can say whatever you want, but if you make something that enough people are like, this is amazing, it looks great, or it is great, or whatever,
It's gonna sell.
because it looks nothing but amazing how the technology looks,
Yeah.
the graphics looks. Apparently, like, this is gonna be something that, they were saying that the graphics are so good that it might actually be difficult to run, but they don't want to take away their vision of what they think that the game is. It's just like how
They don't want to do a Watch Dogs on it. Remember
And-
back when Watch Dogs has its E3?
Yeah,
It looked amazing.
oh my
and then
God,
actually
yeah.
released it looked like shit.
well, I don't know if you know this, but back when, like, because it's a long time ago, and
yeah.
but like Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, each time that they came out with a Half-Life, like Half-Life 1 was a standard for what graphics could look like in video games for the time.
Oh yeah, I know that. They used to always push that bar.
Half-Life 2 was like, if you can't, if you can't run this game, like, we know you can't run this game, but we're releasing it anyways,
Just because
and people
we can.
and like, I saw people come up with posts that compared Half-Life Alyx to the detractors that said, no one wants to buy VR, we can't run this, why would you have a game be so demanding, why would you have this? And then it pulled up a post of people talking about Half-Life 2 back in 2004, saying, nobody's going to buy a whole new computer to play Half-Life 2. This game won't sell well, it's going to fail, nobody cares enough. And then
Yeah.
they pulled up the same thing for Half-Life 1 of old forum posts from like 2000.
Same thing again.
And what it is this is what I was talking about, is the future is going to come, and if people see that it's good enough to get into, they're going to do it.
Oh yeah.
And Valve should not pull any punches, because this is the thing, is even if they fail with this,
They're setting a bar. They're setting a bar that other companies like Microsoft and PlayStation are gonna have to meet if they're gonna venture into VR.
Because
it will just create an influx of quality, which will increase the influx of VR headsets sold, which means more games and better quality and more headsets.
exactly, because even if
Exponential growth.
even if the game doesn't sell well, this game is going to be good.
Yeah.
Like, you can there's some games that you can just tell, right?
Yeah.
Like some games that you're just like, there's no way that this game could be bad, because even if everything about the gameplay is bad, the story is Half-Life of what people wanted, right? And this game will be what it's supposed to be, and it's gonna look great for sure. Like if you look at it, the level of detail is gorgeous.
And frankly,
head crabs,
terrifying. Yeah.
And like I never was actually that afraid of head crabs. Surprisingly, they gave me the heebie-jeebies, but I was never that bad. But like
the only time they ever freaked me out was in Half-Life 2, you know, when you go to
Ravenholm?
Ravenholm, yeah.
Well, Ravenholm was terrifying.
That was just terrifying as is, but the head crabs made it worse.
Like the fast zombies.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah. But like, it's going to be,
imagine that in VR.
The game is going to be great, and I think that this is, like, we're waiting on more information that's apparently could be announced in December, but it's, from what you can see, it's going to be great, and if this doesn't push the sale of VR, like, at least to because the fact of the matter is most of the people that are on the fence that haven't bought VR are people that could and would and own a computer that can, but they just think that it's not good enough, right? Yeah. They're the same as, like, they're thinking like Phil Spencer is, it's not to that point yet, why would I buy it? Like, why would I bother?
Yeah.
There's nothing that I want that's gonna make me want to do it. Now that this is gonna be out, there are gonna be people that say, why would you make it so specific? But is it any different than the people that say, this is for this specific console? In fact, it's less like that, because this is a way of saying, we're not locking you out based on a console. We're locking you out that just get this technology.
It's a piece of hardware. You can play it on hardware, whatever you want, but you just need this. Yes. It's no different than needing a controller to play an Xbox game.
It's going to go. You know what I mean? And I'm so excited. Once we get more information, we're going to talk more about this, but we just kind of want to talk about it and say, like, this is what, if every VR game aspires to be close to this, which I don't know if you've noticed, but like there are some upcoming VR games that look
really
like
cool,
like real games, that are coming out. And the more we have this, the better. I get email updates for a VR MMO that I bought a long time ago on Steam. It was called Orbis VR, right? And it's an MMO that's like, you know, an actual MMO where like you have like different classes and stuff like that. And like it was cool to begin with. And but it was like very basic. I get email updates on it all the time, and I just like can't check it out. It's gotten to the point now I just got an email update. They have their own player housing in the game, and you can customize your player housing in it. You can make potions. They have updates. There's raids and dungeons now that you can go into. And I'm like, this sounds amazing. And it's like,
and is it all like, because, you know, some things are VR, but it's not like really VR. It's like, oh, you just use the touchpad on controller and it moves you around.
So like,
can I wave my arms around? If I reach out, do I have like a hand?
Yeah. So if
I have to physically pick things up and not just click on them.
If you roll an archer, you have to pull back your arrow and knock it and throw
that's kind of what I was thinking.
And to grab different arrows, you have to grab them down from different spots.
Kind of like in Skyrim VR.
Yes.
That's what I did. He had to reach back to get it.
If you're like, there's a class where you're a gunner, right?
Yeah.
And what it is like you have a gun, and then there'll be different balls that you can pull up that like ammo that floats around you, and you can like grab a healing bullet, load it into your gun. You now have healing bullets. You want to do damage, you throw it in. You want to stun somebody, you grab it, you put it in.
Have I never heard about this?
For mages, you don't just like pick a spell and cast. You have to draw the runes to cast it. So if you want fire, you have to know what the fire rune is, and then you have to learn it, and then you can like cast it.
Oh, that's cool.
Like warriors, like sword and shield, like you hold up, will block, you have to block with the shield like that. You swing to attack. It's
like the best game I've seen, like when it comes to like warrior combat. I can't remember the name of it. It's like Guts and Glory or something. Or it's like you just put into the arena.
Gorn,
that's it.
Uh-huh.
Has some of the best like VR melee combat I've ever seen.
And it's all goofy, but it's good. It's like well done.
Like the
combat.
contact, and like the physics of it is goofy, but works like so good. And there's another one where it's like that, but more realistic. And you have like magic and stuff like that.
I played Robo Recall that came with my Oculus, right?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if you've seen anything about it.
No,
but it's literally
RoboCop popped into my head.
It's literally like that's kind of like what it is. It's like a play on that, but it's like there's these like android robot machines, and they've all went crazy, and you go around and you kill them, right?
So it's like RoboCop meets Blade Runner.
Yes, and so like. You actually in the game, you teleport to certain spots, right? Obviously, because they didn't have it where you move yourself. Yeah. But, like, you can, like, go anywhere. And, like, it's like a thing where they shoot at you, you see a bullet flying, you can grab a bullet out of the air, grab it with your VR headset, throw it at them, and it kills them.
Oh, that's cool.
You get different guns, so you get like a shotgun, you get a pistol, you get to upgrade those. You kill. I play this entire game through, right? Like it's like so to the point where like you can grab robots and you can rip off their limbs.
Oh, that's cool.
And this is like one of like the
initial ones,
initial games for the VR, and it was amazing. I only got like I think 5 to 10 hours out of the gameplay of it, but it was amazing. Yeah. I loved every second of it. It was like to the point it was so realistic that I streamed me playing it once, and I went to go like grab a robot out of the air as it was falling down towards me because it like jumped down and it was flying at me, and I reached my hand up and I punched my light. Oh. And or it's not punch my light. I got my hand hit on a fan that was going.
Nice.
And it fucking hurt. But like that's how into it I was.
Yeah.
Like these games, like when it comes to Half-Life Alyx, you're gonna find yourself immersed.
That if someone walks by you as you're being attacked by a head crab, you're gonna smack them in the face or punch them.
You're gonna scream.
The face. Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of a game that I have up on screen right now called Megaton Rainfall. Don't know if you've ever seen anything about it. They released a VR version of it, I'm pretty sure. But pretty much you're like Superman. You have like a bunch of powers. You can like shoot energy balls and like shoot lasers and things like that. And the map is Earth. It's the entire planet. And you can fly up into space and out to other planets and learn new powers and stuff like that, and then fly back. It's like really cool and really expansive. Yeah. And it's like one of those games where you'd watch people play it and they'd get really into it because you were protecting the Earth from an alien invasion. Yeah. And you had to fly around, like, fight all these ships, and, like, you'd have to fly, and then you'd fly past, like, Uncle Ben? Big Ben.
Well, on that note, we need to transition.
Yeah, we need to get,
that's all we had. We don't even get the rest of the story. You guys lost it. So, real quick, we're gonna, like, skim past this one because it's not like it's a huge information dump, but, we just kind of want to talk about it real quick before we head off. Oh, Kyle, take over. My throat actually hurts.
You're just trying to die there.
No, my throat is killing me right now.
God, disgraceful. So, word has been circulating that Michael B. Jordan has met with Warner Brothers to discuss his possible view on playing Superman in a rumored 2023 reboot of the character. Thoughts?
I kind of had like a little discussion with you before, but I'll like let everyone else not know on it.
Yeah, they want to know too, Cody. They care about what you think.
So obviously for me, I'm like, whatever. Sounds cool. He'd be a good Superman, I'm sure. I have no problem with it. I would prefer, for me, I know we have we vary a little bit on our opinion, but for me, I'm fine with it either way, but I would definitely prefer if it was a whole new story, because for one, I think we're all just tired of the same story. We know what Superman is.
Growing up on the farm and Pa Kent dying and him and like, oh no, and moving to the city and being a journalist and Supermaning and then, oh my god, Lex Luthor shows up. It's always the same.
Yeah. So for one, I think we would like a different story to that, like a different arc, kind of like how the Spider-Mans try to do something different, and like they've been trying to do something different lately. But I know like this is a bigger issue for you, but for me, it's because nothing wrong with a black Superman, and I don't think that black Superman can't be Clark Kent. For me just think what's the point? I don't understand why do that instead of just creating a whole new character. I'm fine with it. I know that you vary slightly, and it's not because of the race. It's it's just for you don't.
I don't want them to be like, okay, here's Clark Kent, but black.
Yes.
Because they don't need to do that. Because they have a guy named Calvin Ellis. He's a Superman from another multiverse. And he's actually president of the United States as well. But he's Superman. Has same powers. Does all the same things.
Kryptonian.
Same cool guy stuff. But he's not Clark Kent. He's a different character. I'd rather them do this character rather than just say, here's Clark Kent, but black.
Yeah.
Because then you're hinging it all on the fact of like, here's the same story, but just different race.
And I feel like, I think this might be an unpopular opinion, like, for the both of us, but I think the reason why we say this is you have to realize, like, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for you, even though you probably will want me to, but at least for me, I don't care if Superman is Superwoman. I don't care if, I don't care if he's black, or if he's Mexican, Asian. I don't care.
Like made out of wood.
I don't care about any of that. for me, it's about, and we've talked about this before when it came for like Black Ariel, is like, is there a reason for it? And if the reason is because you want to give more exposure and like put like black people more in these roles of like people that are important, I'm fine with that.
You're doing a good thing, but you're going about it the wrong way.
Yes, exactly. I'm fine with that. And you know what? I'll take that. But I guarantee you people would like it better if your Black Superman, it was like he's black and important because he has a whole new story to him, but he's still Superman.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to not be Superman. If you want him to be Superman, you want them to be, you know, what was it? If you want Ariel to be black, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that change, and I'm fine with you making those things to it, but it's always better if there's a purpose for it, and the purpose for it in this one is not he's black because, you know, I'm not saying the purpose has to be for a racist reason or a stereotypical reason. I'm saying the purpose as in, like, this is a new alternate universe, and he's black. Superman, because he's black, and that's it. Now, and for Ariel, if it's like an alternate timeline of Ariel, and she's black, I'm fine with that. Yeah. I want that because I want the exposure to go to people for that. But like, don't make it like how J.K. Rowling did it, where she was just like, "Oh, Hermione's actually black." I left it up to persuasion because I wanted it to be open for interpretation.
Yeah, like
but she actually didn't because she had called her white in one of the books.
It's the wrong way to do it, and it's like you could just make it so it's like, okay, here's Clark Kent, but he's black, and it's the same story who grew up on a Kansas farm. But that's not just doing disrespect to just like black representation in movies, thinking that you just have to shoehorn them in.
Yeah.
When you have a fantastic character created by Grant Morrison and Doug Mahanick, who's a really cool character and could be really interesting and can have really compelling stories.
It'd be like this. Now, if for like, just like back on the point, just think of other topics. For Hermione, if you were like, if J.K. Rowling would have just been like straight up like, no, I did envision her as black, she's black, it wouldn't have been optimal, but then at least she wouldn't have been like, oh no, I left it up purposely because she could be. But we know it would have been even a step better than just her saying, oh, Hermione is black. The step above that would have been saying, I create a whole new character that's a main character that's black.
Yeah.
That's just as important or more important.
Yeah. It's a whole new original story that you guys can have just for that.
Yes.
Because we feel like that they should have, you know, shouldn't just be shoehorned in for representation. They should have their own strong original stories that they can like carry on the backs of.
So for Ariel, if there being a black Ariel, you know, if they would have came out and said, oh well, in the story we didn't really know her race, then I would have been like, oh, you're playing that card. Yeah. But instead they said, well, we just want her to be black. Okay, I can accept that more. But would have accepted that even further if what would have made it even more tolerable, I think, to people that like aren't me, like to people that are more fussy, is if you would have been like, this is Ariel Mermaid story, but it's a different story. And you know what? We just don't even know if that's the case. It might be a different story.
Like I'm pretty sure we talked about this way back when she was cast. I'm pretty sure I said it, that like, with the way she's been cast, if they cast the rest of the mermaids like they're like that, and they change the locale of the movie and do like things that make it female,
then it's different.
Make like the actual mermaid culture a bit more fitting to like, you know, an African subculture, even a Polynesian subculture.
Yeah,
that'd
which is
really
totally possible,
cool and unique and different, and that'd be cool. But if it's just the characters but just different race, everything else the exact same, it's like you're just changing it for the sake of it.
It's like if you were to, you know, make Black Panther, but you had him just be like some standard stereotypical like
superhero
guy that lives in the US that has no references to what actually Black Panther's about. The reason Black Panther's cool is because he has an African subculture, and it makes African culture look cool how it is supposed to be. Yeah. Which is its own thing.
It makes like Western audience go, okay, I might not know a lot about this, but this is really cool, unique, and different, and people actually really like that, and they vibrate a lot more than just the same thing.
Make the character this different color.
Same thing again.
It's in it, like I said, I have no problem with them doing that. I just think it's better all around, and it'll make the crybaby stop crying.
Exactly.
If you do that. But second of all, it makes for a better story when it makes sense as to why it's like that. Yeah. But if you don't want to do that, then at least be full upright. If you're making a black Superman, then at least make it a little bit different and good, because otherwise, like, it's like, well, I don't know. It's a hard thing to say, because on one hand you could argue, Well, if they make it exactly the same, what they're doing is they're showing there's no difference between black and white. And I get that, and that's why I'm saying I'm fine if they do it that way. But
Like,
I'm tired of the Superman story.
Yeah.
So I'm just not gonna care. Now you're gonna have people that won't watch Superman because they're like, what's the story about? Well, it's about Clark Kent who grows up on a farm and it's like, oh, it's the same story that I've seen a million times.
And it's like, as well, coming off the back of Henry Cavill, who said recently that, as far as he's concerned, he's not done with Superman.
Yeah.
His contract's over. But he said as soon as he gets a chance to put the cape back on, he's taking it, no matter what he's doing at the time.
Yeah.
That's what he said he'd do. And there's a lot of people who are like, we want Henry back. Like, the Snyder Cut people who want the original cut of Justice League released will, like, if it's just, reboot with Clark Kent, growing up on a farm with just black, they'll go, well, no, we don't want this because we still want the original vision that was promised back when we started making these movies. And that'll be a whole
Stop changing things a million times.
That would be a whole other group of people that won't want to go see it. And it'll suffer. But if they release it and go, okay, this is a Superman movie, but we're on a different Earth. We're confirming the multiverse for the DC universe.
Yeah.
On this Earth, we follow Kal-El, but instead of crashing on a Kansas farm and being, a white farm boy, he's black. And becomes the president of the United States. And has to juggle being president and being Superman.
And you know what? And if you wanted to make it so it went into the universe of everything else, and you wanted to replace Superman for some reason,
it's so easy to do.
Then you can just say that there's an alternate universe, something happens, and he had to take the place of that Superman. But don't just be like, here's a whole new star.
They already have a solution for that. Because obviously everything going on with Batman, they said that if the Flash solo movie does well, in the sequel to the Flash solo movie, they're going to do an event called Flashpoint, where he goes back in time, changes the past, goes to the future, everything's messed up, goes back in time, fixes it, comes back, everything's mostly normal again, but there's some things that obviously, because there was the change in the first place, has mixed it up a little bit. You cross that line and you can never undo it. And one of those things is saying that if that happens, that will cross over Pattinson's Batman into the main DC universe.
And you know what?
That's how they plan to do it.
And then you can still make it...
Same thing with Superman.
So like, and then if your problem is like, well, if they make it an offshoot, then it's not like a main... Then you're not really getting that exposure. Well, then we can make it into that, but let's make it into that in a way that makes sense instead of just going, this is the same person, but black.
So they could do it in a way like with Joker, where it's a completely independent story by itself. Or they can do it like with the Pattinson's Batman and tie him in ultimately in the future.
If the whole premise of this of that Joker movie that came out was like how it was, but his envision when he was creating it was just like the Joker was black. You know what? That would have been completely fine, and I could have understood that 100%.
Oh yeah.
If that's what it came by to. But if now they made a whole movie and they just made it so the Joker was black and everything was the same, no one would care. I think what people need to start doing is stop shoehorning the stuff in and make something really cool
and unique and special
with that. Or if you have something in mind, be like, I'm creating this with this character being like this in mind.
There's two people that do this really well. Jordan Peele, the writer and director, who made like Get Out and Us. Great, like nearly all black cast.
Almost all black cast.
Phenomenal movies and original. The second guy is Quentin Tarantino. He made a Western, and he says his purpose was it because he realised that there was no black Western heroes. That he grew up, his father-son movie was The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And he realised that for, a young black kid and his dad, he didn't have a black cowboy.
Right.
And he wanted to make one that was real and true, so he made Django Unchained. What he didn't do was just remake the original Django movie with a black character. He made a whole new movie.
Yeah. I think with him though, like the thing that just like puts me a little is like I remember I was watching something recently and they're like, did anybody else like see how like
it's about the feet?
No, well, yeah, that of course. But they're like, did anybody see like how excited he seemed to be able to say the N-word in the one movie? Like he felt like he was way too happy. Like he got the pass. Like he got the pass from Samuel L. Jackson since he's in a lot of his movies, and he was like, oh, it's fine for him to say the N-word, and but then would never say it again after that, like outside of it, and like he just never talked about it again. And he was like, when someone asked him about it, he was like, yeah, no, it's fine because that was for the movie, but then like never brought it up again. And like everyone was like, I love how he was only had a role in the movie for 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes he made sure to say the most offensive word in history.
Yeah,
but like, no, I get what you're saying though. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
His intent initially, avoiding all the weird things that if you think about it.
I mean, like he's also like a fucking nutso, so it doesn't make sense.
He's unhinged.
But yeah, all in all, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing a Superman movie with Michael B. Jordan. I would hope it'd be an original storyline. If it's not, I would still be okay with it.
Yeah.
But then
I wouldn't care as much.
Yeah, I would. I just wouldn't be like as excited because it's not a whole new storyline. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It wouldn't, and it's not because he's black. It'd be the same as if they were like, we just came out with our 7th new actor for Superman, except for if he was a white man, and it's like the exact same storyline. I would be like, I'm bored. I don't care.
Wrong thing whatsoever.
Dude, I love municipal or metropolitan area networks. I actually learned about this recently.
The Man of Steel came out in 2013. Like that's like 6 years ago. If we're just gonna get that story again, that's too soon.
I didn't even want the Man of Steel storyline again. Anyways,
like it's too soon. Like at least Man of Steel mixed it up in some aspects, making that a little bit more grittier and darker.
I barely wanted that. So like, if you're gonna make that storyline again, you might as well just pull the Spider-Man thing, and then you know what ended up happening? No one cared until they did something where it didn't follow the direct adaptation.
Superman is going to reach the point where it's going to be like, okay, there's Bruce Wayne's parents dead again, there's Uncle Ben dead again, and here's Superman's origin again.
It's gonna reach the point. It already has.
Every 6 years, we're going to keep seeing it, and it's like can't stop. Like. MCU Spider-Man, they didn't touch it. They're like, he's already Spider-Man. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
It's already happened. The Pattinson Batman, he's already Batman.
Right.
They said he's jumping into it. He's been doing this for maybe 3 or 4 years at this point. He's still fresh to it. We're skipping the whole Batman Begins era of it.
Yeah.
And going straight into it because we know people don't want to see it again.
Yeah. So
we don't want to see this introduction of Superman again.
let's just stop with that shit, and let's just. If this happens in 2023, be cool. Be a different storyline.
Yeah, let's be different.
On that long podcast, my throat hurts from talking so much. I'm not kidding.
Ticky.
Like I actually like have I don't know what's going on, but my throat is very painful.
You needed some throat lubricant.
No. Like
what's the word? Water.
I don't mean raspy. I mean, like, I actually it feels like someone punched me in the throat.
I was about to say, did I punch you in the throat and didn't realize?
I don't know. Did I punch myself?
Did I black out and like...
Anyways, that's it for this podcast, the Geek Cause podcast for this week. I don't know why I looked at my date. Like, I was going to say the date.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I going to say the date? You guys don't care.
For you, it would be November 29th. Black Friday, where Cody will probably be at home studying or watching League of Legends.
The same thing that I always do.
And I'll be trying not to hang myself in the middle of my workday.
So, thanks so much for listening to us. We appreciate that you guys take the time out of your day to listen to our silky, sultry voices.
Oh, yeah.
We can't wait to tell you about this new plan that's coming up that I don't have, but I'm trying to make some spicy controversy come up. But
something will happen.
I'm reading the script.
You skipped a line.
Next week. We love you.
And this is when I read the line after I mentioned that you skipped a line. Okay, right. I know where I am.
Yeah, okay, we know where we are now. So, we love you.
We appreciate you. You're the best.
You're the best. That's what you usually say.
Yeah.
I'm in your spot, so it's hard to remember. You're the best.
And goodbye.
Bye.